Hello. Hello. சார் நீங்கள் இன்ட்ரடக்ஷன் கொடுப்பீங்க இல்லையா? ஓகே ஓகே. ஏன்னா நான் ஃபுல் ஸ்க்ரீனில் வரேனேங்கிறதுக்காக யோசித்தேன்.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So good morning to all. It is our great pleasure to welcome you all to the Knowledge 4.0 webinar series, which is one of the unique and distinct initiative of Chennai Institute of Technology. Under Knowledge 4.0, we have been conducting webinars in different scenarios such as technical webinar series, research webinar series, career guidance webinar series, innovative talk webinar series, and alumni webinar series. Apart from this, we are also conducting national international seminars, national international conferences, lecture series, and faculty development programs. So this program is being successful under the motivation by our Honorable Chairman, C.P. Sriram, who is one of the well-known first-generation successful entrepreneur, industrialist, and managing director of MK Group of Companies. So today we have B. Sundarajan sir, principal consultant at PSR's People Tree Consulting with us. So it is our great pleasure to welcome him for this wonderful. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
So Chennai Institute of Technology was established in the year 2010 by our Honorable Chairman P. Sriram, and today our institute is being within top 10 among all other private engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu. So it is our great pleasure to welcome you all to this wonderful forum. And now it is my pleasure to introduce today's expert P. Sundarajan sir to the wonderful forum. Sir is one of the experienced consultant, and he is having 30 plus years of experience in manufacturing sector, and he has worked with QMI, Rane, Engine Valves, and different companies. And primarily, Sir has completed his B from AC College of Technology, Anna University, and he has completed his MTech Chemical Engineering from IIT Madras, and he has started his career in QMI first. Then he has headed different functions covering product manager, manufacturing, and QMS and TQM. He has visited Japan, and he trained by Japanese and Indian TQM counselors like Professors Vasia, Professor Ando, Mr. C.S. Nath, and Mr. N. Ramanathan. Under their umbrella, he has been trained, and he was the TQM promotion in charge for REVL at the time of deeming price challenges, which is one of the toughest quality audit, and he was working with that. And as a consultant, he was associated with many companies in their deeming price challenges, and he is a trainer with the ILO score program and CAE programs, and he is also a regular jury panel member of various CAE conventions. So it is our great pleasure to have him as such a wonderful resource person in this wonderful forum. So it is my great pleasure to request to share the session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dinakaran. Will you open the slide?
Sir, please you can go ahead, sir. Please you can open, sir.
Or start the presentation.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yes. Is it clear?
It is fine, sir. Please you can go ahead, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, any instruction, I will come and interact with you, sir. You can go.
Okay, sure. So, good morning from my side, friends, to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Dinakaran, for that nice introduction. And my salutations to CIIT for organizing such an excellent program to utilize everyone's time in a much more meaningful way during this troubled times of lockdown and COVID, etc., etc. There is no better opportunity to learn and enrich our knowledge. So I am very much happy to be a part of this initiative by CIT, and especially as I make this share my knowledge on TQM with such a wide and wonderful audience as who has assembled here. I'm very happy to share with everyone, especially the student community, because if we can build this culture right from that age, I'm sure it is going to stand the nation in good stead for a long period of time. Thank you for that. And with that, we will move on to the session. Okay. As we start, where is the slide show? Okay.
Yes, sir, I will make the this one.
Oh, no, I got it.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as we start, let's within ourselves, let's say a small prayer to our gurus for about 5 seconds for leading us from darkness to light, as you will know from this Sanskrit word, right? Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, leading us from darkness to light, because without the gurus, none of us will be in the position that where we are now and in the future. So let's thank our gurus for that. For about 5 seconds, let's maintain a silent prayer. Thank you. And with their blessings, let's also understand some key success factors for this kind of a webinar. Point number 1, please strictly maintain the mobile discipline. Put your mobiles on silent, right? And also, please ensure that you are not distracted by your mobiles in any way. Moreover, there's a large audience. We will not be able to go to a grid position completely, but let's have a happy session and a productive session as what we are seeing here. That's our aim, and I'll make sure that we are, in this kind of frame of mind throughout. What are we going to learn today is about how to achieve performance excellence through TQM. I'm sure almost everyone here knows now what is TQM. TQM is Total Quality Management. So let's understand and get an overview of how to achieve performance excellence through TQM. And how do we learn it in this outline? Let's first understand excellence, because without the understanding of our objective, where we want to go, right, it's never good to choose a path. So let's first decide where we want to go and why we should achieve our aim for excellence. That's very important. Excellence should inspire us. So how do we go towards excellence is first thing. Second, we will understand in the context of excellence how TQM has evolved, and then we will try to dive deep into TQM itself. First, broadly, we will understand the definition and framework, and then we will move to the components of TQM, which is primarily, I am calling them as principles of TQM and systems of TQM. Okay. And finally, I'll touch upon TQM benefits. At the end of this, of course, we will have the Q&A session, no doubt. There is one part of the component which I have left out for now, which is called as the techniques. Okay. We have broadly thinking that we will do a separate session on some of the key techniques under TQM, so that we will be able to get into some depths on each of them. Just to know the names of the techniques is not going to be of much help. So let's try to do that in a separate session. So please look forward to that. So let's try to look at what is excellence. To understand excellence, I don't have to talk, for hours. One slide like this with so many faces and the monuments, I'm sure it automatically relates you to excellence, right? These people or these monuments are really the epitomes of excellence, right? And why they are excellent? Because they are masters in their field, and they are the ones who inspire anyone and everyone who want to step into their field. Of course, it's transient. There have been epitomes before, there will be epitomes after. Okay. And there are many more like this, undoubtedly. It is just some example of whom really inspire you, and some examples which inspire me, so which I have put here. Okay. So we should understand that when we talk about excellence, what we are meaning is how do we get to this position that these greats have assumed in their spheres of life, and not only in their spheres of life, how they have touched all of our lives to inspire us when we want to do anything similar to them. Okay, so today if you ask anybody in the 5th standard, maybe till now, maybe it could have changed to Virat Kohli, but if you ask somebody some years ago, whom do you want to become if you are a cricketer, I think the answer which came in a blink of an eye was Sachin, and so on and so forth. And that is what is called as an epitome of excellence, right? I'm sure every one of us have got such benchmarks in our mind, role models in our mind, and I'm sure all of us must try to achieve that position. Never get bogged down by an idea, oh no, only they can go there, we cannot. There is nothing like that. Why? Because they all started like us, and we will see in a few seconds what actually got them there. But to understand a dictionary definition, this is only just a collateral. A dictionary definition for excellence is outstanding merit or quality, very simply stated. There are many more and industrial definitions. I'll come to that later. But a dictionary defines excellence in a very simplistic way of saying it's an outstanding merit or quality, really different from the rest of the group, where it is applicable universally, whether it is a person, whether it is an object, whether it is a book you're talking about, or whether even an organization that we are talking about, which is what is the core of our discussions today. So even an organization can become an excellent organization as long as it achieves outstanding merit, or in other words, outstanding quality. Quality is much more holistic here, not a product quality alone. Okay. So we should look at how we can achieve this kind of outstanding merit or quality. Now let's look at, as I mentioned, how did those individuals get to where they were or they are? They have not got there simply because they were born on an auspicious day. They were not born because some elders blessed them. They didn't get there simply because of some prayers. These are all would have played some roles, but they are much lesser contributing than what really you are seeing on this slide. To achieve that level of excellence, two important aspects one must have is, first, I would group them as traits, which is passion, dedication, and commitment, right? Even today, they, Dr. M.S. Subbulakshmi, till such time she was alive, she continued to practice, right? And she was totally committed to her cause. Even after she stopped doing it for monetary purposes, and very nobly said that everything was going to be for charity. She never let go of her performance levels. In fact, possibly it went up one notch so that the beneficiary organization stood to gain much more. That was the level of commitment she had to her, the profession that she was doing. Coupled with this, you should have humility. None of them you have seen. Nobody can demonstrate humility better than what we are seeing here. Okay, even at the highest levels of their career, at the best of their achievements, these greats maintained their balance. Okay, and they always acted humility, right? You would have seen Sachin Tendulkar on Guru Purnima Day. He let out a video to thank his gurus for all his success, the three main people who had taken him to his success. Okay, such is the humility. He never said, oh, I was great, my straight drive was the best in the world, and so on and so forth. He simply said, without these three, I would not be where I am. That is what I call as humility. And not only when you are talking to somebody elder or something like that. You should have this humility innate in you. That was the most important. And definitely a degree of discipline. Okay. So they maintained their own discipline. The discipline, what they maintained could have been different. A.R. Rahman is supposed to have been recording at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the night. Now you can ask me, sir, therefore keeping awake at 2 o'clock, is it good? Definitely not if you are just browsing some websites. But if you are actually dedicating it because of the needs of your profession, then it is discipline. And he made it as a discipline that he'll work in that time. That's the way it should be. Coupled with this, you need practices. Traits alone will not take you to excellence. You need practices like learning, the willingness to learn all through your passage, not only to say, okay, I've got there, therefore I don't have to learn anymore. No, you'll become obsolete, right? The mindset to do rigorous practice, okay? Once again demonstrated by someone like Sachin. You know, the Bombayites still claim that when in the peak of his career, whenever he used to get back home, he automatically came back to the Shivaji Gymkhana, etc. in the morning, and therefore did his practice with whomsoever was around. Maybe he had some friends, but he did some amount of practice and keeping complete fitness, mental, physical, etc. Not stopping with what you know, right? That's where the learning comes into picture. Constantly evolving, innovating from what you have been doing, and so on. And very, very important, which is combined with humility, is learning from mistakes, right? What we call as PDCA, about which we will see, right? Learning from mistakes. Mistakes are the best teachers, as they say. Successes are not such big teachers. Mistakes are your best teachers. So you must have the humility and the discipline to learn from mistakes. And this is what all of them did. They learned, like example, I once again quote always, Sachin was a bunny to Glenn McGrath, but he knew his mistake. He learned from his mistakes. He did his rigorous practice and evolved to master those deliveries. And in no time, he was able to master Glenn McGrath. That's what I call as learning from mistakes. So every one of us, every organization needs to also have these. It's not only personal. So as I said, if you go back to some of the organizational definitions, one of the simplest ones I have come across in excellence is to do the right thing at the right time in the right way. All are important. You should do the right thing. 3 rights are very important. Okay. And not only stop with what you're able to do now, the right thing of today may or may not be right after some time. Now, if I tell I want a black and white TV so I can get up and go and switch the channel, I'll be laughed off the shop, right? I cannot even get it even from a museum, I think. So the right things of one period automatically become obsolete after some period of time. Some fundamental principles don't change, but some things keep evolving. That's the beauty of evolution. And when that happens, we must have the openness to learn and do those things better than they were ever done before. Do them better than what you have done earlier, right? Do them better than what your colleague is doing or your this one is doing. This is a healthy competition. We are talking about rivalry here. We are not talking about enmity. So we should understand the difference between rivalry and enmity. Politicians have enmity almost. Good sportsmen have rivalry. So we should be having a good mindset for rivalry and aim to do always better than our next competitor. Then you achieve that pinnacle called excellence. And excellence is holistic. As the Dilbert like cartoon says, right? Excellence in an organization should be in leadership, in society also, in innovation, in whatever, management. Very simply stated, excellence is excellence, period. Right? It's to understand in a very common word, excellence is very unique position. It should be treated as what is excellence. Okay. So we come back in the context of today's situation, today's present session. We are looking at it from an organizational viewpoint primarily, right? Therefore, is excellent applicable to organizations? I said yes in the beginning. Now, how do I validate my statement? If you see the names or the logos that I have displayed here, right? They all inspire you. In your heart of heart, many of us will immediately connect to say, oh yes, I recognize that they were excellent for whatever reasons. They were excellent in a holistic way with something of their uniqueness, right? Apple, The minute if I say excellent, the first thing that comes to any of the younger generation is innovativeness, right? When I say TVS and I talk about excellence, the first thing that comes to many people of my generation is their discipline, right? Their ability to maintain timeliness, their ability to take the lead, to try different new things, management systems in their own field, and so on and so forth. Tatas, if you take, their ability to be national in nature always, right? And go international as one of the earliest fashions, and so on and so forth. And not only in business organizations, we can also understand that even philosophical NGOs like Ramakrishna Mission, etc., can also be taken as examples of excellent organizations where a team of people come together and work for a cause of that in an entire organization, and which drives them to perform excellent time and time again. That's very important. So such are the examples for excellent organizations. These are but a few. There are many more, right? So when you look at an organizational context, what is excellence? So excellence in an organizational context is when organizations achieve and sustain outstanding levels of performance. The outstanding level of performance remains, right? What is very important is organizations should achieve that status to that level of performance, not just once, right? They should continuously achieve this. They should sustain this. And I said as earlier, they should improve on their own current levels of performance. Unless they do it, they cannot be called as excellent organizations. And by this, I'm not meaning only financial performance, etc. There are a whole holistic way in which an organization has to perform. It could be some financial angle, it could be from employee angle, it could be from other shareholder perspective, it could be from society perspective. So there are many perspectives to an organization. So for all those stakeholders, what we summarize as stakeholders, this organization, if it desires to be called as excellent, if it deserves to be called excellent, then this organization should meet or exceed such expectations and do it very repeatedly. That's very, very important. The minute they stop doing that, they are going to be overtaken by somebody and their glory will be of the past. So if you want to be current and if you want to continue to be called excellent, then that is how you should be. We also know of many organizations who were having such exalted positions once, but they did not, catch up with the times, and possibly they have slipped back very badly. There are many. I don't want to name them here. Okay, there are many, many such things. And how do they do that? Is when these organizations, first of all, have a clear understanding of who their stakeholders are and what they expect. Even in an educational scenario, right? Please understand, who are your stakeholders? There are students, there is your board of directors, there is university, you have multiple stakeholders, right? So you look at who are your stakeholders and understand their needs. The needs need not be the same. Needs will definitely be varying. Needs will sometimes even be conflicting. But we should have strategies to achieve or exceed those expectations. By strategy, what do we mean? The methods or the means by which we will achieve those expectations. That's very important. And by implementing such strategies, right, we should achieve excellent results. If you do that, and as I said, not once, you should also demonstrate that they can sustain this performance now and in the future. How can you do that? Only when you demonstrate very clearly that how I achieve the excellence is very clear to me. I should know that. It cannot be a fluke. Okay. It cannot be a situation where you say, oh, I don't know. For example, if you're a student and if you suddenly get 100 out of 100 in a subject, right? Suppose you are performing like the level of Harini in one of your examinations, right? You cannot suddenly say, sir, I don't know how I got it. Then you can be sure that next time you will slip off. But the good students, the excellent students are one who will say, sir, I got here from my earlier situation because I did X, Y, Z. Organizations who say, I want to go to this place and I will do X, Y, Z to achieve this. And I did and I got that result. They are the ones whom you can expect that they will repeatedly do such a performance. That's very, very important. And therefore, what is excellence? As I said repeatedly, I've been saying about repetition. So excellence, not now, very long time ago, a great thinker, philosopher like Aristotle, very simply captured excellence in a nutshell by saying, we are what we repeatedly do. Okay, therefore, excellence is not a one-time act. It is a habit, right? Someone has to keep repeating it. And you just recall for a moment, go back to the pictures that we talked about and keep recalling, why do you call them in that position? Because they were doing it repeatedly, right? That's what is the most important aspect. And yet another great definition, from an industrial, from a business viewpoint, okay, very lofty in its meaning, very simplistic in its wording, is what I have seen, in one of my client site, TAFE, where, Sri Sivasailam, their chairman emeritus, and his explanation, his view of excellence is, displayed to inspire all the TAFE team, says that it is in TAFE, at least, excellence is not something that they engineer in products, right? Tractors they make. So it's not just into the tractors. It is for everyone in an innate desire to attain the best. Okay. And it should come from every one of us. It's something, you build into it. You may not be born inside it. You have to build it into you by good practices and thinking, values. And if you do that, it will come from inside you. And when it happens, right, it should define your work and at home. And it should ripple out to everybody around you. That's very important. You will normally notice that when you are in the midst of excellent people, you will also feel a little bit elevated from your ground level. You're playing an opponent like Federer, you will notice that your own level, you would have noticed in other opponents who play him, their own level goes up a little bit. Why? Because Federer is inspiring them to go up in their levels. It is not just the fear of defeat. It is just because the excellence has rippled out from him and it has gone and touched that opponent. That's the most important point here. So such is what is called as excellence. It is not just mundanely doing some work, not only to your work point. If you do that, automatically it will spill into your homes, and it's vice versa, right? If you, maybe at your home, you have got an inspiration for excellence. Maybe your parents are, maybe your spouses, I don't know, maybe your children are, right? They could inspire you to be excellent in something. And that, if you reflect at work, automatically you will become the nodal point for excellence in your organization. That's something that we must bear in mind. And therefore, how has TQM evolved? It's an evolution process. It did not happen one day, right? It was an evolution process. And why? Because it was recognized that such kind of management practices which are required, right, termed as TQM. Because as I said, excellence can be achieved only through performance. It is an effect. It is a status. Okay, it's not a cause. It is a status. And that kind of performance can come only through good management, which is termed in a very global sense as total quality management. Sometimes people mistake that TQM means only the Japanese TQM. TPM is something else and so on. No, TQM is actually a very holistic thing. The Japanese model was one such framework, but TQM by nature is a much more holistic framework that you should bear in mind. And some of the recent books, there have been many books of this nature which teach you how to be excellent. For example, if any of you have read Sundaragandam, right? In Sundaragandam, there is one definition of clear example about humility. When Hanuman tells Sita that he is possibly the least valiant of all the, the monkeys. He says, in my whole country, I am possibly the last warrior. And if a Hanumanji can say that, you can understand what is the meaning of humility. If you talk about teamwork, at some point, Angada, the prince, tells the whole team, you take the decision now. This is the objective. You take a decision. and we will discuss and go. I'm not going to take a unilateral decision. If this is not teamwork, what else is teamwork? So examples for this are coming to us from our Puranas, right? One of the later ones which became very popular in a management context is this excellent book called Search of Excellence by Tom Peters. And there he outlines many traits of an excellent organization. What should be had by them as a management practice. And you can see many things like close to the customer, productivity to the people, right? Simple form, and so many of them, right? Similar vein, later on, we got this book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, which also talks of similar substances, right? Sorry, similar traits and practices called Level 5 Leadership about people, first who, then what, etc., right? All of them almost border on the same points, but written and researched for and written by the authors in their style and language. But primarily, and many more such books are there. All of them touch upon almost the same aspects in an organization if it aspires to become excellent. And therefore, if you take TQM, for example, for the moment, let us say that TQM is possibly today's wording of how to achieve excellence in an organization. What we must understand is the word quality there. I go back to Sri Sivasailam's statement that it is not just product quality or process quality, right? Quality, the best definition in a context, as said by Henry Ford, is doing the right thing even when nobody is looking. So you don't need CCTV cameras, okay? You don't need people patrolling. Today, unfortunately, in our country, which started with such great lofty practices, right? Today we have sunk to such great depths that you have a signal. On top of the signal, you send a policeman there. On top of that, you have a policeman across the signal to stop people. And in spite of all of this, people still cross the red signal. Why? Because they say, even if everybody is looking, jumping the signal is my right thing. That's a pity, not a societal thinking. This kind of low-level thinking should be driven out of our mind if we want to aspire for quality and excellence. That's a strong message I want to carry forward to this audience. And as I said, TQM did not happen in a single day, right? It has been evolved over a period of time. When the industrial world started, maybe sometime around 1911, inspection was introduced in a formal manner. Many of you are already aware about Industry 4.0. So starting from the artisan days, inspection existed. That's a separate subject. Okay. So in an industrial scenario, inspection got introduced by 1911 as a separate function. Then on, there have been evolutions and improvements, starting from statistical quality control and so on. So somewhere in the 1950s, the concept of total quality control started, which later became total quality management, right? Not only in manufacturing, sometime around 1950s, 1970s, it stepped into services also. And it started from Japan as a standard or a disciplined practice. It had existed in other nations, as I mentioned, but made into a formal system somewhere around the late 80s in the US, Europe, etc., and so on. So it has been a continuous journey. It is still evolving. And as I said, what is captured under the umbrella of TQM is continuously evolving and so on. And it will continue to evolve. As I said, if TQM just preaches that everybody should evolve, but TQM itself will stand static, it will become obsolete. So it has to evolve and absorb many such improvements, right? So what are such definitions and frameworks that have come into picture? Let's understand. A simple definition for TQM is, as I said right in the beginning, is a way for managing for the future. It is not a question of just manage the past. It's not a past tense. It is a future tense. It's both past, present, and continuous. So how do you manage for the future? And it is far wider in its application. Okay, not just product or service quality. Go back to Ford statement or Sri Sivasailam statement. It's a way of managing people and business processes. People first, business process next, right? And thereby ensure complete stakeholder satisfaction. Customer can be expanded to stakeholder. So every stakeholder satisfaction. You have internal stakeholders. You will now know the concept of internal customers. So also internal stakeholders exist and external stakeholders, both, right? And when such kind of management is driven by effective leadership, it's also very important because leadership will take you in different directions as the business evolves. TQM will support that. TQM will support you to achieve excellence, whatever direction you are taking, right? So combined with effective leadership results in the organization, going back to the definition of right things right, first time, every time, better sometime, and so on and so forth. A very simple definition, some of you already know by it visually. If you have to recall, simply recall this circle, what is called as a PDCA cycle. Okay, PDCA, as you know, is plan, do, check, act. A good, broad, excellent organization, an excellent individual has clearly this mindset of planning, doing, checking, and acting in every facet of life. Whether it is meaning going to office, whether it is attending a webinar, whether you are a presenter, whether you are a participant, there is always an element of plan, do, check, act. Learn from what happens today. Yesterday, I made a webinar presentation, almost the same subject. But today, when I'm making, I should understand the audience and make some changes. Otherwise, I'm static. Okay, so we should continue to do this way. Even as a participant, you should try and do something better than what you did yesterday as a participant. That's what is called as PDCA, right? Some people think PDCA means please don't change anything. That is also PDCA, but it is a poor PDCA, not a rich PDCA. So let's always keep in our mind the rich PDCA. Not only this PDCA, there have been many frameworks. Okay, sorry for the smallness of the fonts here because it is a PDF kind of thing. Okay, but what is the framework that you are seeing here is called as a Deming framework of total quality management. I'm giving it the priority because it is possibly one of the first frameworks that got developed to give a formal structure to TQM. What you are seeing here is an updated version up to 1980, right? And most of my work I have done using this framework. So I'm very, familiar with this framework, and I actually value this framework to a great extent, right? So this framework talks about almost all the aspects that I mentioned about. Wordings are different. It guides an organization in what it should do to move towards excellence. There are others also, right? From US, we got the Malcolm Baldrige Award. From the Europe, we got the EFQM Award. All of them at your leisure, if you can, look at your web. If you have not seen this earlier, if you see the three of them and pause to reflect, you will see they almost carry the same ethos. And a lot of them will connect to what is being said by Tom Peters or Jim Collins. So that is the beauty of this framework, right? They are almost universal in nature. Okay. They are not very strict and regimental. It is not a science formula or a max formula. They are broad frameworks which you need to understand how it applies in your own context, right? And apply this. All these frameworks, then possibly will make you understand TQM and implement TQM in this kind of 4 jigsaw puzzle that I'm talking about. And the 4 must be well dovetailed. Okay, that's very, very important. That means you start with culture. The culture should lead you to principles. The principles will be implemented through systems, and the systems can be made to run through methods. This is the clear linkage. You cannot introduce methods first and then think of building the culture. No, it's not going to happen. You cannot look at systems and then go back to principles. No, such systems will be of no value. Okay, so you should start with culture building. Go to principles, go to systems, and go to methods. And whatever you learn as methods, check with your culture. And if there is need for some change in the culture, which happens over a period of time, okay, then you also can shift all of this still to be suitable. Don't change your basic values, okay, but do these things. And what is culture? Culture, as we must understand, is a way of doing things here, right? This is the way we do things here. That's most important. I explained to you the culture in an Indian traffic light. Okay, pity. Every time I make a mention of that, my heart bleeds. Okay, because I have seen the culture abroad. Many times I've been fortunate enough to see such culture abroad. And even at 12 o'clock in the night, people respect the signal. Okay, that is the beauty of the culture there. Why? Because it has become a way they are doing things for generations. Here you make an attempt for one day, next day there are 10 people to shout at you and pull you back, and we tend to be pulled back. There are very few people like Traffic Ramasamy who will go and fight and tell others, I am right, so you please change to my side. Very rare. Look at even now the way people wear masks and other aspects, maintain social distance. Least amount of discipline to such a grave scenario. Why it happens? Because a culture of indiscipline has seeped into our blood, which we should drive away. So culture means the way we do things here. Culture is always people centric. There are many practices which demonstrate culture, but culture always comes from people. It has to be practiced by the people, then it becomes a culture. And when you talk about culture in an organization for TQM, the most important thing is human resource involvement, right? And such involvement can be brought by having a culture of trust, not just belief. They say belief is transient. Today you will believe in something, tomorrow that belief will change. But trust can never be changed. That's why in the US, the logo says, in God we trust. It doesn't say in God we believe. In God we trust, because that trust is unshakable, right? Similarly, we should have a clear mindset for communication, not mere speech, right? Not a political speech that you'll make from a dais. It's a communication. You talk to people. You talk to people, thereby creating more trust, and allow them to talk back to you, which is called as two-way. Listen and respect them as when you talk to them or when they talk back to you. Show respect. The minute you show respect, not just a facade, right? Sometimes people, will bow down also when they're talking to somebody. But the minute the back is turned, they'll say, this is an idiot. The idiot is the least word. Okay, there are much worse words which we use very commonly these days. Okay, so that kind of a thing is not going to help you. So have this culture of trust, communication, and respect, which builds transparency. The minute you do that, people involvement comes, and therefore that culture builds, right? Second comes principles. What are principles? What is shown by the people you are seeing on the pictures, right? Principles are not just what we live for. Many people say that principles are what we live for. Actually, principles are what we will die for, right? That is the most important. Take Harishchandra, take Gandhiji, take Abdul Kalamji, right? All these people, and in the case of Manu, for his principles, he was willing to give up the life of his son, right? Which is equal death for him, isn't it? So all these means they were standing stead for their principle, come what may. No storm can shake them from the principles they wanted to demonstrate to people. Such is principles. And TQM principles are many. As I said, what is described in the book are nothing but TQM principles, right? Customer focus, have a orientation for results, but achieve them by process and facts. Okay, have a good demonstration of leadership in your own spheres. Have a good constancy of improvement, correct? Have a purpose for improvement, as I said. Develop your people, involve them in improvements, right? Make continuous learning and innovation. Partnership development, right? Have good partnership with all the stakeholders, not just transactions. And finally, demonstrate good public responsibility. If you demonstrate such responsibility, then the public will demonstrate it back to you. They will come to your help. They will respect you, and so on and so forth. So such are the principles of TQM. And these are things that must be imbibed in an organization. Before you even, or as you are starting your TQM journey, this should be evolved. Unless an organization has got these principles as its DNA, it is not going to be an excellent organization. You can be very sure of that. Somewhere it will falter. But principles have to be demonstrated through systems. Principles cannot be practiced simply by talking about them. And such kind of practice for an organization comes from various systems or subsystems in TQM, right? And they are integrated as what you are seeing in an Olympic ring, right? What I call as basically education and training, right? What is called as policy management. We will see a little bit more about these in a few minutes, right? And what is called as daily management, what is called as Kaizen, and what is called as cross-functional management. These are broadly the principles in TQM or systems in TQM, specifically systems in the Japanese way of TQM. Today, companies are adding many more such systems into their fold to expand their TQM, right? There's nothing wrong in that. TQM allows such kind of expansion. So they adopt some systems from TPM, they adopt something from Lean, put all of that. But broadly, they all can be bucketed into these as systems. And why do you want to do this? Just like the Olympic rings and the motto, we want to do this because we want to deliver faster than we did earlier. We want to do our projects faster, right? We want to achieve higher positions than where we were yesterday. And we want to be much stronger as an organization than we were yesterday or today. So the idea behind the reasons for doing this is just the same as an Olympic motto, which is Citius, Altius, and Fortius. Just the same. Okay. And what are these? Let's spend a few minutes. Policy management is nothing but aligning the people in the organization towards the leadership, because it is the leadership that sets the target and the vision for the organization. This is the most important role of leadership in an organization. You should set the mission of the organization, where you want to be. You should set the vision for the organization, what you want to achieve, right? And having said that, with the involvement of the next levels of leadership, you must create the means to achieve such positions that you wanted. Nothing can demonstrate it better than this Dandi Yatra, the statue. If you have visited Delhi or in websites, you would have seen this, a very inspiring statue that you can see. Okay, a very beautiful sight of Dandi March for those who have not, for almost all of us, I think, who have not had the good fortune to be a part of this. Very inspiring. Many of us understood the real inspiration behind it when we see the movie Gandhi by Richard Attenborough. How, sacrificial was the Dandi March, right? So, as I mentioned, this is done through a system called policy management. Okay, Hoshin Kanri, the Japanese call it, the shining needle or the direction of the company. And when that's thus, it goes through what I mentioned, the vision set by the leader and to objectives, and through the leadership involvement, he decides what is the best way to go towards that goal. And then it is set into action so that it reaches the last person in the organization. Dandi March was not done by just 10-15 people. There is enough and more in the last, represented by some 2 or 3 statues here, right? These were the real foot soldiers who made Dandi March happen. That's why Gandhi never claimed credit for Dandi March. Nor did he claim credit for any of the things that he did, singular credit. So also what is called as daily management. It's not only important to break through, like in policy management. Before breakthrough and after breakthrough, you need stability in your organization, right? Stability comes from clear role clarity, right? Stability means conducting your routine operations without much trouble, maintain the level of performance in the same way by maintaining the process in the same way as you did earlier and could. But not to say that I will not change it. We'll see about it next slide. So you should be clear about your role. If you are the tightrope walker on the trapeze, now don't look below and say, why is he not playing the drums properly? why is that guy wearing a yellow color shirt? If you start getting distracted in that way, you are a gone case. You should know what is the guy doing below which triggers something from my mind. His particular beat changes means I should now turn around, etc. Or I should now time for me to jump because the net is open, like this. So in daily management, that's very important. Know your role and execute your role to perfection. Automatically, all the roles together will achieve you a great status. The third important system is what is the Kaizen. Something many of us may be more familiar. The Japanese word for continuous improvement towards a high level of performance. Okay. And what you can see here in terms of, the tortoise overtaking the, rabbit. Okay. Because improvements are possible in an organization in a variety of size. Okay. Not only the small ones of this pebble nature, there are big improvements also possible. But unless you address these small ones simultaneously, you will never be able to achieve these things. So Kaizens and continuous improvements are very much a part of organizational excellence. And if you do these along with education and training, right, along with what I call as cross-functional management, TQM implementation will look like this. Some of you might have seen this in person. Many of us have seen this on the TV. One of the greatest, sporting events in the world, the boat race of Kerala. And if you want to see how synchronous working takes place, this is the prime example. People are just sitting so close to each other, each one having a different kind of role to play, and they execute it to perfection. If they execute it to perfection, the boat moves forward towards the goal. And you can understand if they don't do chaos, what happens. So TQM is not implementing those systems in a standalone manner. It is implementing those systems in a synchronous manner. So you get some synergy out of it. That's the real meaning. Okay. And why do we do all of this? To achieve excellence. Don't forget that. And to achieve performance. And how can that be achieved? Is enumerated in these kind of benefits. All around benefits you will get, right? Not only cultural changes, continuous change in your process, right? People's capabilities will build up. You will get reduction in defects, etc. So cost improvements. Employees will be much more satisfied with you, right? So both in your business performance as well as the culture in the organization, you can feel and get lot of great benefits. And this is something that over a period of 30 years nearly is something that I have gone through, I have lived, I have had the great opportunity to support some organizations to move in this journey and so on, right? By all this, what is called as improving the organizational constitution. Constitution means like our build, the individual's build, etc. So an organizational constitution is built in this way. Many people think Indian Constitution means only that book which is there. Indian Constitution means how what is said in that book is implemented in the right manner so that the country builds itself into a great strength. That is what is the meaning of the word constitution. So we must understand this. Okay. And finally, if you are implementing TQM, we must remember that it is almost like a marathon. But sometimes as the need arises, you may also have to sprint. And this you would have noticed even in a marathon run. People don't run slow in a marathon always. You need to pace yourself, change your pace and so on. And if you do that very well, right? Of course, nobody can sprint the marathon. Usain Bolt cannot run a marathon the way he runs the dash. So you cannot sprint the marathon. You have to be very judicial with it. You have to be very strategic with it. You have to constantly watch for your competition. And from year to year, race to race, you need to constantly innovate and improve. Because the conditions in which you run the marathon are not the same. So also in business, you must implement TQM which suits your way. What one organization has done need not necessarily be copied, pasted into another organization. Understand how it can be utilized and suited to your organization culture. Okay. So that's what I wanted to share of my knowledge on TQM with all the friends who are participating here. I'm very happy to see the large number of participants, right? I'm very happy to see everyone who has come here, though it is virtual. I can see in my heart the number of people who are attending this session. I'm very, very happy for it. One of the largest audience, I would say, I have addressed so far, or I have shared my knowledge in this manner. I sincerely appreciate your attention and participation. Now it's time for Q&A. I hand it over to Dr. Dinakaran to run me through the Q&A.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so
Welcome,
much for your inspiring speech, sir. Actually, even though it is TQM, this might have changed many of the value of the participant, I believe, because the initial the introduction what you have given entirely will help them to fine-tune the human beings, and certainly
Yes.
it will make some changes on them.
Sure,
So thank you so much for sharing your excellent knowledge.
It's my pleasure. It's my duty to my gurus.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I would
sir.
say.
Thank you. Yeah, certainly everything is possible because of them. So
Yeah.
the way in which you brought the session is very entirely making a lot. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dinakaran.
Let me look into some questions.
Please do.
Yes, sir.
I hope we are flooded with questions.
Yes, sir. Yeah, very informative. Thanks. And sir, Mr. Vivekananda asked one question.
Yeah.
Sir, is it possible to share few words about industry and Six Sigma? Is it possible? He's asking.
Yeah. Do we have time, Dinakaran? Can I go
Yeah,
ahead?
please, sir. Please, you can, sir. Please, sir.
Okay. I did not touch upon Six Sigma, okay, because of paucity of time. It is one more framework, okay. Six Sigma is a framework or is a way of work or a way in which an organization aims for continuous improvement or implements continuous improvement. This had its basic roots from statistical process control or statistics, basic statistics, right? It had its roots from the 7QC tools, no doubt about it. But it was adapted to the culture of the US, modified to an excellent way by GE, not GE, even before GE, it was Motorola. Motorola said that the enemy for any organization and performance is variation, right? So, if you cannot avoid variation in your work, right? Variation is a natural process in life. So if you cannot avoid the variation, if you cannot control the variation, avoiding is impossible. If you cannot control the variation, then you are no good. So Motorola said this has been there from the Japanese mindset. Even before that, as SQC started, variation was the fountainhead for SQC. So they said if you have this, you can do Six Sigma. So what happened as a starting point for quality improvement, saying that let us first study variation in the product, which will happen because there is variation in the process, and thereby I should control the variation in the process and reduce the variation and eliminate the variation in the product was the starting point. But then Motorola realized, and later on greatly championed by Jack Welch in GE, they said in every activity of company is process. You remember the TQM principle of process orientation. Everything that we do is a process, right? So how that process can be controlled or should be controlled became Six Sigma. And when you want to take up such projects to improve from your current level, they were broadly banded as Six Sigma. They need not necessarily look only for variation, but to have one commonality. If you start talking of too many things at one time, right, companies get confused. So many companies say we will adapt one system, let us say the Six Sigma, and everything else. I mentioned this, everything else that we want to do, whether it is originally coming from TPM, I would like to do it under the name of Six Sigma. Nothing wrong. It is your choice. So that is what is called as Six Sigma. It is an initiative or a method which emanated from TQM principles, statistics, and later on became a specific management system by itself. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Super, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And so another question. Mr. Arun Saravanan asked one question. Sir, I am a college student.
Okay.
How far can I follow TQM and attain excellence?
Okay. I made a mention, Arun, that it starts from the individual. Okay. Now look at the traits that I mentioned when I was talking about individuals, right? Many of those same things came into organizations also, right? So let us talk about those traits. Okay. Let us talk about that things like passion you should have, discipline you should have, you should be constantly learning. Please keep these simple things in your mind. Okay, and try to implement them. It's difficult to implement everything in one shot, but all of them should actually exist together. Do it slowly, right? But most importantly, have a goal in your life and have a passion to achieve that goal. Without that, you will find no great urgency to implement TQM. So TQM is both for the individual as well as for the organizational context. So you have certain of the individual traits that I talked about. Don't talk about policy management. It can be done. Even at home, we do it, right? If it is, anything to do with, in general, I'm saying the Indian culture, monetary things, we go by what the father wants to go or what the family wants to go. I'm talking about the older generation, like my own self, my older generations. The monetary matters were driven by the father's goals and policy, right? The home routines and etc. were controlled by the mother, right? How did she do it? You would have noticed that they demonstrated greatest discipline in their life when they handled the kitchen, when they handled other matters connected to the household. So have such traits and passion, build them into you one by one. I'm sure you will have some of them. You need not be the best in everything. Please understand each one of them, practice them with sincerity. And when you have difficulty, please refer to somebody whom you look up to. If you feel somebody is more disciplined than you, please don't hesitate to ask them, how are you able to be more disciplined? I'm struggling like this, like that. But first have a mindset that I should be disciplined. For example, I'm harping on discipline, not a topic much liked these days, but discipline does not mean, iron jacket. Discipline means following certain basic principles. That's it. So it can be done, provided you try to understand what happened in some of their lives. Happily, many autobiographies are there of Sachin and others, which will tell you what they did. Try to learn a few lessons from that and do it. If you go to the web, there are many books about individual excellence. Try to do some of them. Start. The most important is don't get into analysis paralysis. Please make a start, at least in a small way. You can always do the PDCA, right? Thank you. Yes, Dinakaran.
Thank you so much, sir. And we got some, sir, another one question.
Yeah.
Sir, how TQM can be implemented to achieve outcome-based education? Asked by Praveen.
What is the question? Can you repeat it?
How TQM can be implemented to achieve outcome-based education in education sector? Outcome-based
education, right?
Yes, sir.
So, first of all, we must understand what is the outcome that we are desiring. Okay. Are you talking about that you want to achieve excellent outcomes from your the way you are educating? That is one angle. So let's take that first point. So you please fix what are the outcomes that you should achieve. It could be that you want to improve the pass percentage. If you are already at 100% pass percentage, maybe you want much more people to go higher, right? There are certain educational institutions I know, like the school of JK, etc., where they don't talk about ranks. They are more worried about whether the individual has grown holistically, whether the individual has matured as an individual, those kind of things. So the outcome you desire from your institution may vary. Please be specific. You as a teacher, if you are a teacher, I'm saying, you could be having certain outcomes that you want from your life or from your teaching them. If you are clear, try to understand what are the things I am going to do to achieve the strategies, as I mentioned. Please be clear about that and implement those strategies and check for the results. If they are not good, again make a change. If you know how to change it, what to change, please do. Otherwise, don't feel shy to learn from somewhere else. That is the principle. So you must understand the outcome and do it. Now you want to bring the mindset of outcomes in the people, in the students. Also give the same message that whatever we do in life, it is not simply for the sake of doing, right? Whatever we do in life should be oriented towards an outcome. Unless you do have this orientation in your life, that this is the outcome I want to achieve, whatever you do is useless, right? So this strong message must be borne in mind, that everything that we do in life is actually oriented towards some outcome. Fix whatever outcome you want to start with. They may not be an exalted outcomes, but please fix. That is my message.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And so Crystallan P asked one question.
Yeah.
How to make excellence in a day-to-day life situation with the help of TQM?
Again, let me go back to the point I mentioned about the individuals and so on, right? First, start to practice such things in your own life, okay? For example, when you are doing, let us say, certain things, where can I start? Simple way. Let us do some 5S at home. Some of you may be familiar with 5S. 5S is the foundation for any management system like TQM. Okay, so try to be much more, disciplined with respect to time management, etc. And I was discussing this with Dr. Dinakaran. Time management does not mean you are an idiot. Being on time. Being on time actually means a great, behavior. It means you are respecting the other person's time. If you read, the books written by Robin Sharma, okay, Who Will Cry When You Die? This is a very simple book on many things that you can do towards individual excellence, right? It's just one of the books. Now there he says, timeliness shows that you are respecting the other person. This is a very simple way to start. So if you start on such simple steps, automatically you will become in your own esteem. First of all, in your self-esteem, you should feel that you are a TQM person. So if you become like that, demonstrate humility, demonstrate respect for the next individual, and so on and so forth. Okay, it does not mean that you should become a Kora. Okay, many people understand what is Kora. Don't become a coward. When you are respecting others, does not mean you are fearing the next person. Respect is the biggest of fearlessness. Okay, so you do that, automatically you will start demonstrating excellence and go back to the ripple effect. You do this, it will start from you and spread to the next person, and it will automatically get practiced. Now, I have done this many times in an airport when people don't stand in the queue. Sometimes you don't even have to tell them, right? You simply come into the queue by yourself, or you simply talk to the next person saying, sir, can we stand in a queue? You will see that almost 90% of the people come into the queue. This is our mindset. You're just waiting for the next person to be a TQM person. So if we start these demonstrations, you will automatically build excellence all around you in day-to-day life. Yeah, a very nice question, but a very important question in the context.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
So we have questions or various options.
Whatever is your time, please go ahead. I can manage up to 11:30 also.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a particular up to 11:30.
Yes, sir. And Dr. Sudha Rajesh.
Dinakaran,
yes, sir.
Just give me a second.
Please,
as
sir,
I mentioned to you, I'll just go to my next slide.
Please, sir. Okay. Please, comfortable. Okay.
So the friends who are participating can utilize this. I will make, like Adi Tallubadi, I will make an open offer. Let's say, for example, for the next 15 days or so, let me give it a try. Those who are not able to ask questions today or cannot get answered in the limited time, you have my connect points here, right? The email is there, the mobile number is there. I'll prefer you to email me or WhatsApp me. The number is also a WhatsApp number. I would like you to give me an intro in the WhatsApp saying that I attended this, therefore my question, and please send the question. Let's say this is open for you till the next 15 days. And let me understand or let me get a feeling that my session has really been able to transform even a few people who are participating here, I'll be very, very happy. But please go ahead, Dinakaran. Let this be on display so that people can write down, note down, whatever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Dinakaran.
Yeah. Sir, yes. So, this will not. Sudha Rajesh asked one question. Sir. 1 second, sir.
Yeah.
And sir, any tool to implement
Ah.
quality attributes with matrices?
Quality attribute?
With matrices.
What do you mean by tool?
So
I'm not able to understand what is the meaning of a tool.
Dr. Sudha Rajesh, your question can be specific.
In what context she can email to me,
Yeah.
right? I will be more than happy to explain this in detail. Okay, of course, any work in quality has got some metrics as outcome. Okay, your what the customer desires, how much you are able to achieve, which is what the negative we call it as. Positive is called as first time right. Okay, the negative is called as defects or customer complaints. Like this, we need to fix metrics, quality metrics for whatever work we do. The minute you do that, we can fix it. But if I can understand the context of this question, Dr. Sudha, I think I may be able to give you a more specific answer.
Fine. Sir, Mr. Anand had asked one question.
Yeah.
Can you please explain some R&D opportunities in TQM?
R&D opportunities in?
TQM.
Reverse. You mean TQM in R&D? Am I right?
R&D. What are the, suppose he may be interested to do his PhD in these activities.
Yeah.
So what is the scope in R&D for TQM, in the TQM area? He's asking.
Oh, he is asking if he is a PhD, what scope is there in?
Yeah. For research, what is the scope in TQM?
He can conduct research in TQM. There are many, and it's very important in current context, to conduct research in TQM. Okay. Today, one of the researches that are going on is, let me shock everybody by saying, is TQM dead? Is also one of the questions. Okay. Some research work has been done on this, but these are repetitive and perennial in nature. Okay. And he can do even research to address some of the questions that have been asked today, right? Does TQM pertain to individual life? Why not this as a topic? Try to, understand and follow all the research protocol. Yeah, I have seen many research papers connected with TQM when I go through the website, etc. If that is a question, this is the answer. Okay. For the reverse question, if he is working in R&D, all the points that have been mentioned, okay, like policy management, like daily work management, innovation, every one of them apply in the R&D context. Sometimes R&D people think I don't have routine work, but R&D work is one of the most routine work in the organization. It's equally routine work in the organization. You have to constantly create new products. Okay, the product you are creating is new, but the way you are creating them is, for a period of time, it remains the same way, right? So either way it works. So Rajesh, what is the name of the friend who asked the question? Rajesh. No, Anand.
Anand, yes sir. Anand, sir.
Anand can possibly take this as the first answer, but I still, ask him to, if he wants, please contact me further.
Fine, sir. Super, sir. Sir, and we will take one question, last question.
Yeah, sure.
And Mr. Tirumurthy had asked one question.
Yeah.
So it seems to be generic, but it will be good, I think so.
Yeah, please.
Sir, as you mentioned, indiscipline has gone deep into our blood nowadays. But also, India is known for cultural heritage based on religious values and comparing with most of the nations. If it is so, what do you think has gone wrong with us?
Oh, thanks a lot to somebody who exactly shares my pain.
Yes, sir. His question. His name is Mr. Tirumurthy.
Yeah, Mr. Tirumurthy. Really, we are in the same boat, and I know of many people. The answer to your question is, of course, some of the things that happened in the country over a period of centuries, which damaged the fabric of our culture. Number one. Number two is possibly some of these cultures were not, properly documented and handed over to generations. Okay, but above all, I would say in the current context, one of the worst things that have happened is the lack of enforcement of such discipline or such kind of thing does not happen simply by big speeches. Of course, one has to be inspired. Following up the inspiration, you please lay some ground rules to follow. At the same time, you should ensure that this is being followed, right? Even in Chanakya Niti or Arthashastra, I think it is Chanakya Niti, right? Chanakya very clearly says that unless discipline is enforced, he used the word fear at that time because it was Rajas. Unless discipline is enforced, it does not become a DNA. So what we need today is a big mindset shift where we have a good combination of something to inspire and something to enforce. Enforcement has to touch the person. That is also very important. Okay, if you say it's just 50 rupees fine, in today's context, people are simply paying 50 rupees and getting away. Okay, I have seen situations where at share auto, for example, he has to pay one-time fine for the entire day. Rest of the days, they are free to carry any number of people they want. Very rarely they are stopped. I've experienced it. I'm saying this from personal experience. Okay, so discipline comes or steeps into one's blood by some initial degree of enforcement. It need not be enforced by iron and rods. It has to be enforced by constant egging people to follow discipline. That's it. This is what my answer would be. In today's world, of course, I believe youngsters or whomsoever it is, it's not only youngsters who are indisciplined. Everybody is indisciplined. It has to be brought in by various means. Sama, Dana, Beda, Dandam. That's why they say. Even if you have to take a Dandam, please take it to the extent that people will feel the pinch of it. That's very important. This is my answer to my own answer to this question. It does not mean that I disrespect the police system or disrespect the judiciary, any of that. Okay, it's a combined effort. A combined effort only can pull up, people. That's my answer to this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So thank you so much. In addition to that technical context, so a lot of moral values also has been discussed. Certainly, this will at least almost 300 participants have participated. At least 50% of them are trying to implement their life. This will be a great success.
No, Dinakaran, I always take an optimistic view in such cases and say 100% will implement.
Great. So
even if we don't believe it at the start, the end will be decimals.
Yeah,
so better believe that 100% will implement.
Yeah, we'll believe that 100% will take in positive way, and they will go out of this. And certainly, this self-discipline can only make changes in the world in a better way.
Absolutely.
So certainly, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to hear the nice talk from an expert. Thank you, sir. We'll meet in some other occasion, sir. Thank you. We want to hear a lot. We'll meet in some other occasion, sir. Thank you, sir.
Definitely. And Dinakaran, if you already had some questions in the chat box, which you are not able to answer for paucity of time,
yes, sir.
My request is either yourself or Karthik can pool all of them into one mail and send it to me, and I will reply on the mail, and you can then send it to the individuals.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
That works for you and Karthik, then it is fine with me.
Sure, sir. We'll make it, sir. We'll make it, sir.
Definitely. As I said, especially
almost we have answered all the questions.
Thank you. Very good.
Asked by Dr. Sudha Rajesh. And Sudha Rajesh, your questions, please, you can email us or you can email to sir. They will be very happy to answer them. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Bye, sir.
Have a good day. Bye. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir. Thank you. Participant, thank you so much. Thank you. Your certificates have already been sent to you through mail. So we'll meet in tomorrow's webinar. Thank you.